Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Vallabha Girivara Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Jashodanandana Braja Jananandana Jashodanandana Braja Jananandana Jamuna Tiravanochari Jamuna Tiravanochari Jayaratammadava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya 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 Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Jashodanandana Braja Jananandana Jashodanandana Braja Jananandana Jamuna Tiravanochari Jamuna Tiravanochari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Yashodanandana Braja Jananandana Yashodanandana Braja Jananandana Jamuna Tiravanochari Jamuna Tiravanochari Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnuvad Paramahamsa Paragaraja Acharya's Total Shishimina Divine News A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Gauda Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Gaur Premanande. Shishi Radhastami Mahotsa Ki. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Shishi Guru and Gauranga. So just want to get the Bhagavatam. So on this Radhastami, we're having a talk this evening by Tulsi Priya, Prabhu. But we're continuing on with the Bhagavatam in the place where we were. Text 28, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 28. Manetvam kalam ishanam anadi nidhanam vibhum samam charantam sarvatra bhutanam ya vitakali. Word for word. Manye, I consider. Tvam, your lordship. Kalam, the eternal time. Ishanam, the Supreme Lord. Anadi Nidhanam, without beginning and end. Vibhum, all pervading. Samam, equally merciful. Charantam, distributing. Sarvatra, et everywhere. Bhutanam, of the living beings. Yatmita, by intercourse. Kali, dissension. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. My Lord, I consider your Lordship to be the eternal time, the supreme controller, without beginning and end, the all-pervasive one. In distributing your mercy, you are equal to everyone. The dissensions between living beings are due to social intercourse. Purport. Kunti Devi knew that Krishna was neither her nephew nor an ordinary family member of her paternal house. She knew perfectly well that Krishna is the primeval Lord who lives in everyone's heart as the supersoul Paramatma. Another name of the Paramatma feature of the Lord is Kala, or eternal time. Eternal time is the witness of all our actions, good and bad, and thus resultant reactions are destined by Him. It is no use saying that we do not know why and for what we are suffering. We may forget the misdeed for which we may suffer at this present moment, but we must remember that Paramatma is our constant companion, and therefore He knows everything past, present, and future. And because the Paramatma feature of Lord Krishna destines all actions and reactions, He is the supreme controller also. Without His sanction, not a blade of grass can move. The living beings are given as much freedom as they deserve, and misuse of that freedom is the cause of suffering. The devotees of the Lord do not misuse their freedom, and therefore they are the good sons of the Lord. Others who misuse freedom are put into miseries destined by eternal Kala. The Kala offers the conditioned souls both happiness and miseries. It is all predestined by eternal time. As we have miseries uncalled for, so we may have happiness also without being asked, for they are all predestined by Kala. No one is therefore either an enemy of the Lord, either an enemy or friend of the Lord. Everyone is suffering and enjoying the results of his own destiny. This destiny is made by the living beings in course of social intercourse. Everyone here wants to lord it over material nature, and thus everyone creates his own destiny under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. He is all-pervading, and therefore he can see everyone's activities. And because the Lord has no beginning or end, he is known as the eternal time Kala. Amaginatimanandasya jana jana shalakaya chakshuran malitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Datati Svapadantikam Namo Om Vishnu Padai Krishna Vastai Bhutale Shimani Satsruptas Goswami Niti Namane Namo Vishnu Padai Krishna Vastai Bhutale Shimani Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paschatade Shatarine. Hare Krishna. So we have very interesting purport by Srila Prabhupada on this Radhastami, and it is the main point that's coming from it is that everyone is the author of his own distress or happiness from the nature of eternal time, because sometimes we may wonder, why am I suffering? I'm a good guy, I'm a good girl, or whatever, Why is this suffering happening to me? We may not know why that suffering is happening to us, because we're not privy to what we have done previously or previous activities. But suffice to understand that everything is organized by the supreme will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is not. There's no problem in it. It's exactly very well meted out as it should be, and therefore we have to accept happiness and distress, pain or infamy, honor or dishonor, all with an equal eye. That's what the Bhagavad Gita is training us to do. So as devotees we should take that on board. But one of the underlying features of this, of course, is that we are fallen. That is why we are getting reactions, basically, because of our fallen nature. And so that should be a good incentive for us to take to be humble, to take a humble position when things are actually occurring to us in that sense. Not that, as we know, we have to get to develop the art, even when, because as explained here, that the world is full of envious living entities. So envious living entities will try to exploit nature for their own benefit and exploit us for their own benefit. So we have to learn the art of not being exploited by others, by envious others, while at the same time being aware that whatever suffering that we do obtain is there because of the stringent laws of nature, which is irrevocably meting out the karma because of our previous activities. So there is a balance to be got there. But the balance really is strengthened by the force of devotional service, because in devotional service we obtain happiness, actual real spiritual happiness, and that spiritual happiness gives us a sense of being happy with whom we are, happy as a spirit soul, and happy in the understanding of our real nature. There's an interesting phrase used in that purport by Srila Prabhupada. He talks about social intercourse. He talks about the dissensions between living beings are due to social intercourse. We have a very, very good example of this in Maharaj Bharat. Maharaj Bharat, of course, was a great king. He was a son of an incarnation of God, Lord Rishabhadev, and he was empowered by an incarnation of God, Lord Rishabhadev, to rule the kingdom for many, many years. But he was such a wise and intelligent and empowered king that when the time came for him to give up his kingly duties, he immediately went to the forest and started to perform particular austerities. So what was he doing there? If you look at it, he gave up his wife, his family, his riches, his courtiers, all the benefits that he had in the world here, to live in the forest by living off fruits and berries and taking clothes as tree bark, somebody who probably had the finest silks, the finest gold. But here he didn't have any of that. And so why did he do it? What about all the we all hear about courtier's life, or the life in the palace? It's full of entertainment and full of riches and so on. The modern day equivalent is people sit in front of their TV and be entertained in the evening time, or perhaps they go to football matches, they go to drama or theatre, or so many other things that they do for their so-called entertainment. They try to live kingly and queenly lives, but here in the when we can say the Varnashram system, that at a certain point in life you give up all your material activities and then you just concentrate on the spiritual dimension. It's a natural occasion because your body gets old, so you can't partake like you previously did in full energy in the material world, creating wealth. Creating wealth for yourself and your family. But no matter what we create, as we know, it will be destroyed. We spend all our time making this wonderful house, but in 20, 30 years that house is gone, and all your endeavour is, where are they? They're gone into this house and somebody else is enjoying it. You see all these buildings, these wonderful buildings, I say in Dublin, the Georgian buildings in the 1800s. So 200 years later, they're still there, people are enjoying them, but the people who made those houses at great effort, they're not there anymore. Or we know the example that they might be a rat or an insect or a bug in that house. So the natural tendency then is to try to live on and on. But Maharaj Bharat, because he was an ideal king, he went to the forest. But even then, when he was in the forest, he was completely giving up all this thing, all his sons, his daughters, his grandsons, everything. His beautiful wives, and so now the situation has changed in that sense, because he met a baby deer, and he became attached to a deer. After giving up the most incredible life, you still became attracted to a deer. So what is that? What can we say what that is? It's just amazing. And because he became attracted to deer, he forgot all the activities that he was doing to try to concentrate on Krishna, the person who was delivering everything, all the karma and everything. He'd got to the stage, he was concentrated on Krishna, and he gave it all up. But he was very fortunate, because in the next body, he got the body of a deer, and he retained his consciousness. But then in the next body, so I think this is really revelatory. In the next body, he became Jad Bharat, who was a deaf and dull person. He was born in a Brahmin family, so you think he's born in a Brahmin family, safe enough, You can actually then have an opportunity to practice your spiritual life. No, he wasn't even interested in that. He didn't want to get into the social intercourse that Prabhupada is talking about here. He just did not want to take the chance. He was thoroughly self-realized, but he wanted to avoid it. So you and me, how much social intercourse are we involved in? How much Gramya Katha are we involved in? How much gossip do we get involved in? Go on, admit it. How much do we do it? How much are we able to be immune from that? How much? These are questions, these are special questions we should be asking ourselves on Radhastami. Well, according to this verse, because that is the verse that we're actually speaking on. So this is the question that we need to ask ourselves, because these very things are keeping us away from concentration on these beautiful pastimes of Radharani. Because we are covered with material since time immemorial, or karma, the modes of nature, goodness, passion, ignorance. We're trying to become spiritually realized. In other words, to be able to concentrate on the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. That's the place where we want to be. But because we find ourselves covered in so many other things, therefore we're not able to make that. We're not able to concentrate on Radhastami, on the actual pastimes of Radharani. Oh no! So some of you, of course, are. I'm not. I'm just speaking for myself here, but some people will be able to relate with that. And so this is why Prabhupada in the purport he talks about. We don't know why these things are coming to us, so we shouldn't get absorbed in these happiness and distress that we're undergoing. Tatenam kamham suksamishimano bunjan ivatma kritam. Sorry, I'm not sure of that verse after many years, but basically we go on suffering the different vicissitudes of the modes of nature, but we're not disturbed by it, and we just understand it. Well, this is what it is. This is a good sign. I'm getting rid of my bad karma. So let me just totally concentrate on Krishna, and let me try to spend all my time serving Krishna and thinking about Krishna and loving Krishna, and so I thought also, so just to go from just briefly go over that. We are suffering some of the things from our previous karma. We may not understand why it is from our present lifetime, but we may go on suffering it anyway, because we don't know. The super soul is aware of those things. Prabhupada talks about social intercourse in this thing, how we are, the sentience between living beings are due to this social intercourse. So we should be very careful in this lifetime not to get entangled in these kind of madness of what can go on because of the envious nature of the living entities. Even as a devotee, we have to be very extremely careful. On a positive side, we should be constantly praising devotees, and this is not, we shouldn't offend devotees. We should be praising devotees as much as possible. We should be hearing literature about, not blaspheming the Vedic literature, but we should be hearing as much as possible about Krishna, about Radha. We should be developing the association. So instead of social intercourse, we should be having association of devotees, whereby we're speaking about Krishna's pastimes. We're talking about the wonderful activities of Krishna, and we should be discussing this among ourselves. This is Krishna Katha. This is also, you could say, this is ISKCON. These are the things that we should be doing, and we should be giving it to others. And that's another side of Radharani, which is very, very important side of Radharani. It is why we're out. This Lord Chaitanya came, and we're out doing Harinam. We're out giving out books to people. We're out making beautiful arrangements on the altar for Krishna. We're to attract the living entities. These are all different ways in which we're bringing people to Krishna. So this is Radharani's, Srimati Radharani's great blessing to us. It's a great blessing as well, because not only is she's so beautiful, but as also she is wants us to serve Krishna. Just like on Balaram's appearance day, we're glorifying Balaram, but Balaram wants to glorify Krishna. That's who he is. So he wants us to. He's just pointing us to Krishna all the time. Lord Nityananda is pointing us to, to Lord Chaitanya. So Radharani, in the same way, she's saying Krishna. Here's Krishna. Here's Krishna. Here's Krishna. Just like our beautiful Radha Govinda. Somehow you get attracted to Krishna's broad chest, his great smiling face, his wonderful eyes, his beautiful decor, his so relaxed gait. He's so powerful in beauty and happy, and but Radharani's beautiful there beside him. But that's because of her power. She's always glorifying Krishna. This is her relationship with us. She's pointing us. Our darshan means that we go before Krishna. So she's pointing us to Krishna. She's bringing us to Krishna if we have the good fortune to be there with Krishna, Radha Govinda, it is because of Radharani's mercy. So we really, really, really need on Radhastami to gain Radharani's mercy, because it is the most beautiful thing that you can imagine. And we please Radharani the most by serving Krishna. That's what Radharani wants. And so also Radharani wants us to, Sri Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, the great Acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all of them want us also to become absorbed in serving Krishna and in glorifying Radharani as well, and also in glorifying Lord Chaitanya. And so the whole Gaudiya Madhava Brahma Gaudiya Madhava Sampradaya is based on that, and somehow or other we have got the good fortune to be involved in this. When the Britishers went to India, they were amazed, when they thought they had the best religion, but actually the intelligent among them actually understood that the Vedic scriptures are extremely profound. And then the more fortunate among them, especially because it went into self-isolation for a while, until Bhaktivinoda Thakur re-emerged it from its isolation and brought it into our current situation. And then we realized the incredible potency of the spiritual system that we're following, as a brought up in a specific religious system, who as a person who was brought up in a specific religious system and who also was exploring other religious systems, the understanding of who God is very kind of, in one sense it's one-dimensional. In another sense, no, the relationship with God, with the heart, with Krishna is, Savai Kransang Parodamo Yato Bhaktirat Hoksha Haitiki Apatiyata Yatma Supersedati. It's whatever is encouraging you the most to relate with Krishna. So that heart, or that relationship with Krishna, is in all spiritual systems. But then the very finer details of what is actually going on in the spiritual world, you'd never ever imagine it if you just stayed in some specific spiritual systems. It just doesn't happen, of what actually is going on. And we have got access to that just simply in this Kali Yuga by chanting the holy name, by the congregational chanting of the holy name. Then the whole spiritual dimension, Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtan, the whole spiritual world descends. And then we hear the pitter patter of the feet of the gopis, of the birds singing in Goloka Vrindavan. We spend time over there. We hear the pastimes from the elevated souls, and we enter into this. But this is all given. This is a great gift given to us by Srila Prabhupada, and he has absolutely turned everything on its head by giving us this opportunity. And we should avail of it with both hands. We shouldn't stay back and think, oh, that's for somebody else. No, it's for me. It's actually for me. That's why Prabhupada wrote all these books. Everyone should read all of these books. That's what Prabhupada said. And so just in that vein, I want to speak a little bit from and speak something from the Nectar of Devotion. But of course, one of the things from the Nectar of the Devotion is that it was written by, it's a summary study of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is written by Rupa Goswami, who is the foremost disciple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spent 1 month with him, 2 months, constantly in Lord Chaitanya's association, to become the scribe of our philosophy. And but in this particular book, he writes very, very little about the devotional service and conjugal love, because it's the highest rasa that's there. But at the same time, in a section when he talks about the rasas, it does give us some indication of what is actually going on. Excuse me, just have a drink. So, as devotees, we should be reading books from Prabhupada, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, In our daily lives, we should understand that we are servant of the servant of the servant of Srimati Radharani in that sense. A million times removed, you could say. But that is our line. We should be finding time to try to deepen our understanding. It may happen in your daily life, okay, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. That's also according to the system. But also we should be finding time, like today specifically, because Radharani's birthday is very particular. Radharani is a person, and a person. If it was somebody else's birthday, it was my birthday recently, and quite a few Leos and Virgos around, and usually when it comes up to the birthday, I think, oh no, it's a birthday. People are going to say something nice about me and whatever. I better, I'm going to become puffed up if somebody says something nice. Of course, I won't be if they don't say something nice. But at the same time, you kind of hiding away from it a little bit. But then when it happens and you see the wonderful devotees who somehow or other find some good in you, you glorify those devotees who are seeing like that, and you think, wow, that's so nice, and they make you feel good by speaking like that. But you're feeling good because you see that they're such wonderful devotees, and you're in the association of these wonderful devotees. What great fortune you have to be in association of such wonderful devotees who are seeing some good in you. It's an amazing feeling. Now, I'm not saying that feeling is there in Srimati Radharani, but in the same sense that this is an opportunity for us in our fallen condition to glorify this wonderful person, and we understand that even the smallest thing that we do, Radharani amplifies. That's her nature. She is the most compassionate, the M-O-S-T, the most compassionate. That's who she is. And so even us, she is finding some good in. So in this time, we should be, at the top of the rooftop shouting the glories of Radharani, and we should be absorbing ourselves in these glories. And one way to do that is to hear from who she is. Now, we may not be able to enter into the profound depths of who Radharani is, because it's a huge mystery as well. But yet, at the same time, we do get some explanations from the pastimes of Krishna. So I thought I would just stop on a few here from the Nectar Devotion. This is, I thought I'd read a few of these things and make a few short comments. This is in the Compassion and Anger. There is a statement in the Vigdadava Madhava wherein Srimati Radharani, in an angry mood, addressed her mother Purnamasi, after she had accused Radharani of going to Krishna. My dear mother, Radha declared, what can I say to you? Krishna is so cruel that he often attacks me on the street. And if I want to cry out very loudly, this boy with a peacock feather on his head immediately covers my face so that I cannot cry. And if I want to go away from the scene because I am afraid of him, he will immediately spread his arms to block my path. If I piteously fall down at his feet, then this enemy of the Madhu demon, in an angry mood, bites my face. Mother, just try to understand my situation and don't be unnecessarily angry with me. Instead, please tell me how I can save myself from these terrible attacks of Krishna. There's not really much I can say about that. Let me talk about Krishna's friend Subal. This is friendship and conjugal mixed rasas. And this is a very interesting section. There are other friends who are still more confidential. These are more confidential than Sridham. They are called Priyanarma, or intimate friends. Counted among the Priyanarma friends are Subal, Arjuna, Gandharva, Vasanta, and Ujjvala. There was talk among the friends of Radharani, the gopis, about these most intimate friends. One gopi addressed Radharani thus, my dear Krishangi, delicate one, just see how Subal is whispering your message into Krishna's ear. he is delivering the confidential letter of Shamadasi silently into Krishna's hand. How he is delivering the betel nuts prepared by Palika into Krishna's mouth. And how he is decorating Krishna with the garland prepared by Taraka. Did you know, my dear friend, that all these most intimate friends of Krishna are always engaged in his service in this way? Out of the many intimate Priyanarmis, Subal and Ujval are considered the most prominent. Subal's body is described as follows. His complexion is just like molten gold. He is very, very dear to Krishna. He always has a garland round his neck and he wears yellow clothing. His eyes are just like lotus flower petals, and he is so intelligent that his talking and his moral instructions, all the other friends take the highest pleasure. Let us all offer our respectful obeisances unto Krishna's friend Subal. The degree of intimacy shared by Krishna and Subal can be understood by the fact that the talks between them are so confidential that no one else could understand what they were saying. So we can see then that Krishna and Subal have very intimate talks that no one actually can understand them. And this is demonstrated definitely in this pastime, because today's a day would be good to speak about some of these pastimes, wherein Krishna was feeling very, very bereft, and he was lamenting piteously in the absence of the association of Radharani. So Subal went up to him and asked him, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And Krishna was saying that he is so heartbroken that he hasn't got Radharani beside him. He just feels completely bereft, and so Subal said, "I will go and see can I bring her." And so Subal went, and Subal is well-known great friend of Krishna. So when he went to Radharani's house, Radharani's mother immediately wanted to get rid of him. "What are you doing here?" She immediately spotted him. And Subal, he had to think quickly, think on his feet, as they say. He says, I'm looking for one of my calves. One of my calves has strayed into your your courtyard. I have to go and get him. So Subal very cleverly then went into the household, and then he came to Radharani, and he told Radharani, Radharani, Krishna wants to see you. He's absolutely heartbroken. He cannot. He says he's going to die if you don't go to him. And she said, "What can I? How can I go there? Look, if I go out, my mother's going to stop me. My mother-in-law is going to stop me, and so it'll be. It's actually impossible. How can I do it?" But then Subal devised a plan. He devised a plan that they exchange their clothes, that he puts on Radharani's clothes and Radharani puts on Subal's clothes. So she dresses herself as Subal. So great, that sounded like a good idea, except of course Radharani's a girl, so her breasts are going to be showing if she's going to be going out as a boy as Subal. Very clearly it won't be Subal going. So what she did was suddenly the calf that they were looking for suddenly came into the courtyard. So immediately Subal says, "Here, hold this calf." And so Radharani, what a lucky calf in that sense, Radharani held the calf in front of her. She was dressed now. Can you imagine? These are expert dressers. They know how to do this. This is an incredibly delicate art. But she held the calf on her chest, and then walked out and said to her mother-in-law, "Oh yes, I found him. Yes." And so the mother-in-law said, "Okay, no problem." And so then she went to where Subal told her where Krishna was. So she went to where Krishna was, but then she thought of something. Before I tell Krishna who I am, because Krishna looked up and saw, "Oh, Subal, you returned," because she had Krishna fooled at the same time as well. So she thought that she would put Krishna to the test. And she said, "Yeah, but Krishna, why don't I just get Chandravali and come here? Then you'll be satisfied. You'll be very satisfied. I'll go and get Chandravali. I can't get Radharani because she's in her with her mother-in-law. So, but no, don't get Chandravali. That won't do. Chandravali, it's not the same. I want Radharani. I cannot live without Radharani. And so Radharani, of course, then was very happy. And so she put down the calf and she said, "Here I am," she said to Krishna. And then they had a great meeting at that point. And that particular festival is called the Gopastami festival, and it's where we see Radharani dressed on the altar holding the calf, and it's a very wonderful pastime. So just to show you some other. And there's Ujjvala is another actually very intimate friend of Krishna there. But another pastime with Subal again is in a section of the mixing of the rastas. There is an example of a mixture of conjugal love and fraternal affection when Srimati Radharani says, "My dear friends, just see how Krishna is resting his hand on the shoulder of Subal, who is dressed up just like a young girl. I think he must be sending some message to me through Subal." So you can look at the activities these devotees are engaged in. The purport is that superiors of Radharani do not like Krishna or his cowherd friends to associate with her. Therefore, these friends sometimes clothe themselves in female dress so they can give Radharani a message from Krishna. In this example, the whole is conjugal love and the part is fraternity. The following is an example of a mixture of conjugal love and laughter in devotional service. Krishna, in the dress of a young girl, told Radharani, "Oh, you hard-hearted girl, don't you know that I am your sister? Why are you unable to recognize me? Be merciful upon me, and please capture my shoulders and embrace me with love." While Krishna was dressed up exactly like Radharani, he was speaking those nice words, and Srimati Radharani could understand his purpose. But because she was in front of many of her superiors, she simply smiled and did not say anything. In this instance, the ecstasy of conjugal love is taken as the whole, and the ecstasy of laughter is taken as part. So these are only small little sections taken from the pastime. So you can imagine what type of activities they were performing there in the spiritual world, what kind of activities God gets up to. He's surrounded by these superiors. He wants to embrace his beloved. He dresses himself up as a girl, as a sister, exactly like Radharani, and comes to her and starts speaking to her and asks her to embrace him. And she's just there looking on, knowing this clever, crafty person. She's afraid to do it just particularly then, just in case she gets caught out, but she smiles, and the electricity between the two of them must be absolutely intense. You know, that's just my way of speaking it. Okay, anger again. In ecstatic loving service to Krishna in anger, Krishna is always the object. In Vigdadava Madhava, 2nd Act, verse 37, Lalita Gopi expressed her anger, which was caused by Krishna when she addressed Srimati Radharani thus: "My dear friend, my inner desires have been polluted. Therefore I shall go to the place of Yamaraj. But I am sorry to see that Krishna has still not given up his smiling over cheating you. I do not know how you could repose all your loving propensities upon this lusty young boy from the neighbourhood of the cowherds." After seeing Krishna, Jarati sometimes said, "Oh, you thief of young girls' properties, I can distinctly see the covering garment of my daughter-in-law in your person." Then she cried very loudly, addressing all the residents of Vrindavan, to inform them that this son of King Nanda was setting fire to the household life of her daughter-in-law. But we find that in this particular section, in the Nectar Devotion and in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that Rupa Goswami only describes conjugal love in a very small section. He just feels this is so intimate, you know. We're here from our Kali Yuga specimen background, and we're trying to enter into the deepest levels of conjugal love. But we're here, you know, we're somehow or other Krishna has brought us here. And so in Srimati Srimati Radharani's appearance day, we should also chant more and more and more and more and more. Because the chanting is there for us to make that easy access. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That's how we actually associate with Radharani, through the chanting. And the chanting helps us become more and more qualified. What is this verse? The Shikshastika, Cheto Darbana Marjan, Davin Nirvapam, Shreya Kairvaka Chandrika Vitaranam, Vidya Vadarudanam, Anahandam Bodhivardhanam, Patiparam Puranam, Ritasanam, Svatnam Param Param Vijayate, Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. It cleanses the heart of all the dust that's accumulated for many, many lifetimes, and it allows us to taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. So in that way we can become we can learn how to associate more and more with Srimati Radharani. It's not that there is some bar on the pastimes of Krishna. That's not what's being told here. But we should steadily make our way. We should always be having the holy name to the forefront of everything that we do in our activities. And then these pastimes will be made available to us. We can't break our way into the into the spiritual world. It's just not doesn't happen that way. We have to become qualified. We have to become constantly endeavoring with faith to that will someday or other, somehow or other, we will attain our actual situation, our constitutional position in association with Krishna. That's in other words who we are, because we are all loving servants of Krishna, and we have that loving propensity in us to the maximum degree as a living entity, and it's ultimately Krishna's love, but we can attain that through the service of Krishna, because the type of pleasure that we're trying to get in the material world is where we're the enjoyer, we're the controller. No, we come to the understanding that Krishna is the enjoyer, and Krishna's Bahunam Janmananantani, Gyanavam Vasudeva Sarvanati. So such a great soul is very rare, but also that Krishna is the supreme proprietor, and 529 basically, and that he's the supreme proprietor, the greatest friend, and the supreme controller. And we get our satisfaction when we are in our constitutional position in relationship with Krishna, like the food and the stomach, the stomach cannot get nourishment or the hand cannot get nourishment just by eating. It has to get food and feed it to the stomach, then it can be satisfied. So that's the position that we take in the spiritual dimension. So we have to find out what our position is in that situation, and therefore we become attracted to one of the members of the in the Krishna's pastimes, and then when we become more and more acquainted with that person, then that person enlivens in our heart our actual gives us the knowledge. Gives us the knowledge by which we can act according to our propensity, our constitutional position in this whole dimension. So although we are coming from a fallen background, we have the Achyuta Gochar, the line of the highest in relation to Lord Chaitanya. We have the highest position to take in the spiritual world, by our good fortune, which is made by our great acharyas, and we're coming in parampara. We actually have that propensity to go there to the spiritual world. So we should be always endeavoring, considering ourselves the most fallen in that way, because we are coming from the fallen backgrounds, but we should be have the confidence and the determination and the enthusiasm to serve Krishna in our actual constitutional position. So I'll stop there. It's 9:00. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a great Radhastami, and use every minute of it to serve the Lord. Shrimati Radharani ki jai. Hare Krishna. So